In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to add rain to our last composition of the girl being struck by lightning, and I'm going to show you how to also add puddles and make color changes and add a stormy sky with clouds, that is. And so this is what I've actually done with this, and I've done a few more additions to how she gets. I have additional blood splatters, and I just made some changes. I made another layer where she's getting split up there on top of this. But anyway, first of all, what you need to do is make sure with the lightning one, you want to render that one out, and you want to render it out at full scale, okay? And I didn't mention that in our tutorial because it was a long tutorial. But anyway, once you have that rendered out, then you want to make another. We're going to use that MP4 for doing this. Okay, so let's get started. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go do a new project. Okay, let's see. We'll save what I've got there just in case, and we're going to do a new composition from footage, and this was for the lightning demo. This is going to be for the raining demo. So I've got another file folder here that I've set up, and it has my MP4 in it, and it has another image in it, or another video of storm clouds. Okay, and that will be loaded up into the D2L classroom, and I added some more blood splotches, okay? And so anyway, the best thing to do is take your MP4, make a new folder, put it in there, and put these other two assets in your folder, okay? And now let's get started. We'll just double click on this, and the first thing we're going to do is let's scroll this up so that we can see more of that, and we're going to make a duplicate layer of this movie, because this is basically just an MP4 of one of my movies that I made. I don't think it's the same one that I had done the demonstration, because I've been looking and my splotches are a little different as far as how she's being broken down. But that's okay, because we're going to come in here and we're going to work off of this one. And first thing we'll do is we'll duplicate this layer, and that or the movie. We'll do Command or Control D, okay? And then we're going to pre-comp this. And in the pre-comp, we're going to take this, and so this is this one, and this is our pre-comp, and first thing we're going to do is go to our layers, and we're going to go transform. Let's go to time, not transform. Let's go to time, and we're going to do freeze frame. So what this is going to do is this is just going to make this a freeze frame all throughout this pre-comp. And we'll stop that so that I just wanted to show you that. Now what we're going to do with this is we're going to add levels to this. And so let's go to Effect, and we're going to go to Color Correction, and we're going to go to Levels. And this takes a little while of adjusting, because what we're trying to do is we're going to try to make a mask out of this, but because we want to mask out the sky, and it's kind of difficult because there's a lot of those little branches in the background, and it does not make it easy. Okay, so I'm just going to play around with this a little bit until I can start to get most of it darkened out. And we can check back and forth here by clicking on and off the FX, and to see if we've taken either too much or... I think I could probably live with what that is right there. Okay, so with that being said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click this layer, and this will allow us to paint inside. And so I double clicked it. You'll get this that pops up here, and we'll get our paintbrush tool, and we want to get a brush. We're going to be painting with black, Okay, or you can pick off color in your darkest area, which is black, as you can see. Our brushes, let's come over here and scroll and try to get to the brushes here. I have a hard brush, okay, and of course we're using a hard round brush. And what we're going to do is we're just going to start painting in here. And in order to make your brush larger, you got to hold down your command key and just move your cursor. And so I'll turn it larger like this, okay? And I'll make it much faster. Because what we're doing is just covering up all these areas down below. And I'm going to zoom in here and try to do a little bit better job in here. Whoops. Okay, and I'm going to actually get my Wacom pen or Wacom pen, whatever you want to call that, and let's go back to our brush here, and we'll just make it smaller. So I'll hold down the Command key or Control key. I'm working off a Mac for this, but I know you guys will be working off a PC. Okay, so anytime you hear me say Command, it's really Control if you're working on a PC. Oops. Okay, let's come over here, get this little piece here. Maybe scroll this up just a little bit larger. And I think that may be most of it. Let me zoom out here if I can. I'm used to using my scroll wheel. So and I think really we're pretty good. I'm going to switch over to my mouse again because I like working with it because I have that scroll wheel. And we'll get my brush again. And the keyboard shortcut is Command B, although I did that and I ended up getting a stamp tool. So I don't know. I'm just going up and manually getting it so I don't run into that issue. And I think this is pretty good. This is good, you know. It's hard. This is very hard to mask out a sky to put in another composition in there, but we will call this done for the moment, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our projects panel here, okay? So I just click over there, found my project panel, and we're going to import. I'm going to do Command I or Control I, that is. And we're going to bring in the storm clouds. And we're going to drop these storm clouds below this. Okay? And then what you may have to do is you may have to toggle the switches. You see these different switches like this. This is usually how I see things. But if we do this, we can actually see our track mat. And we're going to go to the storm cloud layer, and it needs to be up under this one. Now, this is our mask. If we want to rename it just so you know what it is, we can name this mask. Okay, hit return. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to no mat and go mask 1. Now, nothing's happened yet, but we're going to click on this little button here, alpha mat selected, click to switch to Luma mat, and that's Luma mat. Okay, so now those clouds are rolling by. They need to be a little darker here. So what I'm going to do is we'll just bring our timeline indicator back all the way over here. And I think I'm just going to use hue and saturation. You can use all kinds of things. And what we'll do is, let me go to my effects here. Whoops. And look for our, here's hue and saturation. And what I did was you can type in here hue and you'll see hue and saturation pop up. And we're going to drag this down into that layer. Okay? And then that will bring up this effects panel for that. And we're going to just simply make our clouds darker. We're going to alter the color of the sky just a little bit, maybe something like that. And now here's what's going to happen. We're going to go back to our main composition, okay? This one. And now that's in there. The only problem is it doesn't line up all the time. And this is a little bit of an issue. And I was going to put it, I did try to put it on the original that I was demonstrating with, and thought I'd go that route to show you, but I ended up doing a better job just repositioning in here. So what we're going to do is, let's rename this. And we're going to call this, storm clouds. Okay. And then let's just hit the P key. We're on that layer. We hit the P key. We're going to click the stopwatch on the position. We're going to scrub it forward a little bit. And that thing is still selected. So I'm just going to toggle with my arrow keys to move that over a little bit. Okay, and then we'll just move it again, and then we'll toggle this way, move it back, now there's not much we can do here. We might want to put a blur on this layer at this point, and I think that's maybe something I had done. But see, that tracks pretty well throughout the rest there. Let's just play this. I'm actually going to stop it there and just toggle back one. And see, it's so hard to try to get it right. But we're going to add more things to it, so it's not going to be as noticeable. Where it's really noticeable is there, but I can kind of live with that because of the lightning being struck. I'm going to try something here. I'm going to actually go and do effect, and I'm going to do blur, and we'll do a Gaussian blur on this layer. We'll do it yet. Okay, so what we're going to do is move this back just a little bit here. And I don't know if this is going to work or not. But I'm going to try this, and we're going to put in for blurriness. I'll click there. Okay, so now we can see that. Now we'll come over here and see if we can blur this a little bit and kind of help that, and then go back to here, and then take the blurriness down. Okay, so let's look at this and see if this has helped this idiot. It helps it some. And like I said, there's going to be other things that are distracting in this, so we'll continue on. And if there's a way to move this just a little bit, I'm going to see about moving the position, just nudge it a little bit more this way, so it's a little bit more even. It's just hard because it's like, and see, I can live with that. That looks better, okay? And okay, we're gonna have to adjust that. I see that right there. Let's move this back. And I'm gonna see if I could just nudge this just a little bit this way. Here, there we go. Then we might want to nudge it again. And I'm just using the arrow keys. And the thing is, remember, this thing is selected. This whole layer with this movie that's been masked. And I'm just trying to get it as close as I can. And as I said, there's going to be more distraction because we're going to add rain eventually. All right, cool. All right, good. Good, I like that. Okay, now, the next thing I want to do is, I think this is my next step because I've done this twice today, and I wanted to make sure of doing this the right way. And the last time I did it, it worked very well. But what we're going to do is we're going to take both of these and duplicate them. Okay, we're going to do it like that. And then we're going to move this up to here. And we're going to just pre-comp this. Okay. Now, let's go back to our main layer here. And this pre-comp, we're going to rename it puddles or reflections, you know, because we're gonna make this into our puddles by simply going to our layer and going to transform. Now we're on the puddles layer, even though it's a pre-comp, and we pre-comped it so that we could just do this quickly here. And so I'm going to go and flip vertically. All right, looks like that. And then I'm going to right click and go to my blending mode, and we're going to go to overlay. So we can kind of see it like that. I'm just trying to see where this begins and ends, and we could also turn this layer off for a second. There we go. Okay. So now I got a sense of where I'm going to make a mask. So keep the layer selected. I'm going to get the pen tool. I'm going to start down here. I'll go up to here, go over, and we may have to move it afterwards, but we're going to close it off, and what it does is it'll mask that out, okay? And we're going to drag this actually further up here. So I'm just going to move this up more, and this will be our reflection, and I'm going to lower the opacity a little bit on this. So let's go and do T, and we'll lower the opacity a little bit. And it already starts to look like a reflection, okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to zoom in here. And we're going to put some puddles in, okay? And the way we're going to make the puddles, is we're just going to use our pen tool. And we got to make sure that we're still on the same layer. And we're making another mask. And I'm just making these shapes here. Now, another way to make them is by using the ellipse tool. But once I make this will happen. But then we're going to go up under our mask. We'll come back over to the layer, click down, and this mask 2, we're going to set it to intersect, and boom. That's how we start to make puddles, okay? And now we're just going to keep making more puddles. And we'll scrub over here a little bit to where all the action takes place. And it's okay if those overlap the blood there, because the blood can be seen through that. But I just kind of want to know where things are located. And we'll make some puddles up here. And I just like to make different shapes, because you never know how, you want them nice and smooth. There we go. Now we'll zoom in a little bit more. Let me make one over here. And we'll make some back here. And that might be too big, actually, because what we want to do is make these little ones back here if we've got any puddles back in here. Okay. Make another one here. And the way I learned to do this was I could not find a tutorial on how to make puddles. I really couldn't. Because everyone I found, they were trying to sell like videos of puddles, masks of puddles. One guy showed how to make puddles in Photoshop, which was really cool. But nobody really went and did this, and I had to think about it. So that's why I spent most of my day was trying to figure out how to do this. And it really works very well, as you can see. And we'll zoom out here. And then we'll just come down here and we'll bring our timeline back over here and just see where she's going. And yeah. See, that actually begins to look like puddles. And you get that reflection up there. And we're going to be adding more things in here in a moment. But that I think, brings a certain sense of believability. And I might even make another puddle here since I'm having fun with this. So let's make one more puddle here. Getting a little crazy with that shape. Let's go to our pen tool here. I mean, not our pen tool, but our selection tool. We'll click off of it. I'm trying to click off of it. We'll come over here and try to click something else. There we go. Now let's try to just click this. This is the hard part, is editing this stuff. Maybe it goes this way. I could probably live with that. And let's just play this. Yeah, that's nice. They do move a bit. And I'm just looking here. They do seem to kind of track decently with that. But we'll zoom all the way out here. Let me zoom out here like this. And bring this down here. And start over here and just see. And I think I could actually, I think that's not bad there. I think we could live with that. So let's continue on. And so our next thing we're going to do is, we got the puddles there. We got her. I'm going to play around with her a little bit and how she's getting broke up here. And we're going to add some more blood. There we go. So see, this was an earlier one. This I had done before I did the tutorial yesterday, because see, I've got that big white circle there. Okay, so we want to make it somewhere in here. So let's make a new shape layer, and we're going to draw with the pen tool, and we want to fill a black. Our stroke, I don't know if there may be a way to turn that off, but I just turned the pixels down to 0. Okay, so there's not going to be a stroke on that. And let's zoom in here. And we'll just start tracing around. Let's see. We'll just start tracing around here. I'm just trying to think of where the best place to start tracing it is. And you see, it gets distorted a little bit. If we hold down our command key or control key, you can do that. And this doesn't have to be perfect. We just want to cover her up. And we're going to do the poly pixel thing again to add more to it. And this will make it look even better, hopefully. Okay. We can always move this around afterwards with the selection tool. Right, let's get our selection tool and just make. We don't really need to make a lot of adjustments because she's going to get blown up here, and I can live with that. I always say I can live with something. So anyway, that's pretty good. Okay, so scrub back here for a moment. Okay, so there's where she is. Now what we're going to do is let's bring over where this layer starts at, because if you remember how our poly pixels work, that thing, it breaks up all during the whole layer here. And what I want to try to do is, maybe move it to about right here. Okay, and then let's go and add that effect there. We can go up under effect. It's actually simulate, and it's pixel poly, not polypixel. Polypixel could be a cool name for somebody. All right, so let's see what this is doing here. All right, I think I wrote a script. You know what? I did this wrong. This needs to go all the way over here. Yeah. And what we need to do is to drag this where we want it. Sorry about that. So, because I was cutting into the layer, cutting out some of that footage there. So we want to bring this. Let's find out where she starts to turn red. There we go. That's not bad right there, maybe. And it may even appear after that. We could do it here, I think. All right, so one thing we're going to do is we're going to go back in here. The spacing is going to go down. So we're going to have more. Maybe not that many. Yeah, that's not bad. And our gravity, we're going to lower our gravity here. So we'll see how it breaks up there. Okay. And then the force, let's see what happens if we just bring that in a little bit, see what happens here. And we'll play this. We'll play. Okay, so all right, so and the thing is, I'm adjusting this. You could have it here so we can actually see what we're adjusting. Speed, randomness. We could play with other things, but what we should get to is roughen, because that really makes it look better. So let's go over here into our effects preset panel over here and type in roughen or rough and roughen edges. Okay, and so let's bring that into this. And see, that already helps. That really helps a lot. And fractal influence, we'll bring that up. I'm just playing around here, see what we can get here. How sharp everything is. Scale. That's what we want to do. We'll play with scale here. So we'll scale this down a little bit. Okay. Complexity, we'll bring that up. And let's bring this together here and see how that looks. And see, that's just sitting right on top of our other film. And we'll zoom out here a little bit and just play this. Cool. Now, what I want to do is, now that we've done that, I think what we should do is taper it off, and there's not much control over it, with the exception of going into the layer and hitting the T key, and we'll click the stopwatch on the opacity, and we'll drag it out here so that it'll disappear faster. And now let's see if how that looks right here. We'll play that again. I'm just watching it again for myself to see. Okay, it stays with the blood. Maybe bring it out just a little bit more. Okay. And see, I just keep playing with it until I get to a spot. Or I can live with this. Again, I'm living with it. All right. So what we got to do now is I'm going to put in some more blood splotches. So we'll go over to our project window here. We'll do Command I, and we'll look for more blood. And we'll bring these splotches in. We don't have to use them all. We're just going to add some in some areas to improve it. Okay. And so we'll take one here. Let's just look at it. I'm just looking at different ones. I like two. That's a nice one there. So we'll start with 3 here, and we'll put it underneath and above our puddles. Okay? So underneath that shape of her exploding there, and we can name that layer too. So we'll rename that layer, and we'll call it, I don't know, Pixel Explosion, if I'm spelling that correctly, just so that we know what that is. And so now, the thing with this splotch, let's zoom in here, and we're going to move it down here. And let me just, I'm sorry to keep zooming in and out real quickly. I'm just trying to find a good location for this splotch, because I want it to kind of correspond with this, so it feels like it gets put down there, okay? And it's not in a bad area, you know? And actually, I could probably, you know, again, live with it. I'm going to toggle my switches, because I'm going to put the 3D on it. And we're going to, so I click this 3D button, and then we can take this red one here and just, yeah, do this. That will make it sit better, okay? And we could scale it a little bit, okay? That's good. And then we're going to have to play with color. So we could use our curves. We'll go into that panel, our effects panel, and type that in, and we'll bring the curves over into this layer, into the splotch layer. There we go. And then we're going to look for red, and we're going to make it less red. We'll play with green. Step that up just a little bit. Keep zooming in here so we can really see what this looks like. And I'm going to click off that just to see. That's not bad. Okay, now let's go into splotch, and we're going to right click, and we'll do a layer, and we'll do soft light and see what that looks like. It's a little too soft. Might be overlay that I was using. Blending mode, overlay. Yeah, that's better. And we can bring the opacity down, so we hit T. And just bring the opacity down a little bit. And then click down here below it. And let's just play this real quickly here. Okay. Now, we don't want it there the whole time. See, we don't want it there before she walks there, so we're going to have to put it in. I'm thinking somewhere right here. And this can start to look kind of cool when these blood splotches appear at certain times. Okay, so there's that one. And we did a lot of adjustments to it, but that's okay. We'll go over to our panel here, our project panel, and we'll look for another blood splotch. I like that one. Okay, and we'll just bring it down in here above splotch 3. Okay, and what I'm going to do is, to save time, I'm going to come down here and just copy all this stuff that I just done here. All right, so we'll copy all that, Command C, we'll go up to this layer, splotch 5, and do Command V, and see, instantly it pops it down in there, which is kind of cool. All right, didn't put the 3D on it, but we could do that, and we can adjust it so that it's more like this. Okay, and I think we still got to change our blending mode to overlay. Okay, but it should have gotten the color and everything. And we'll click down below here somewhere, or just do Shift Command A or Control A. Let's just play it. There we go. All right, let's again, we need to think about when this appears. And I might even make this appear before the other splotch. Somewhere right in here, perhaps. So let's see this. Let's zoom out and take a peek here. I'm going to make it after. Let's just see what that looks like. Play it again. Yeah, I kind of like it after. All right. And like I said, we don't have to add a bunch, but I just want to add some more. And so we'll go in and add another one here. We'll add this one. And actually, let me look through here. Oh, I like that one. That one's kind of interesting. So we'll drag this one down here. And we'll do Command V. So we'll just put it right where that was at. And this one, let's see where the blood goes. Yeah, I could go there. All right. And then we'll hit the 3D here. And we'll take that red one there and just switch it back here. It's like this, see? And that's the y-axis, by the way. And I don't think we don't want to really turn it. We can rotate it, kind of. But you got to be careful there. All right, we can scale it. Yeah, I like that. Now that should have about all the other effects on there. Yeah. And so we'll set this to overlay. Right click, go to blending modes, go to overlay, and see how that looks there. And we'll play. Well, we got to figure out where this is going to show up here. Maybe this one shows up later here. And I'm going to put one more after this. Oh, I like that. That is cool. I wish it tracked better there, but once we put in the other stuff, it'll look better. See, I like how it hits. You know, it comes in, and so that's one of the reasons I wanted to put these splotches in. First of all, I didn't think there was enough to begin with. And if I had time, I would try to figure out how to put body parts down in there. But, you know, I think the blood's just fine as it is. So let's go and find another blood splotch. And we got 4 we haven't used. Or 1. Let's use 1. We don't have to use them all. You do not have to use all of them. You just want to use I used 3 one time, and that looked fine. So let's take this and do Command V, because the last thing we copied was all those effects. I'm going to pull it over to here, and I'm going to put it on the wall. And so we're going to have to rotate this. So it feels like it's on the wall. It doesn't have to be perfect. We'll drag it in a little bit like that. And let's see here. Okay, let's have it appear somewhere in between there. And then we've got to do the blending mode too. So let's go over here, right click on it, and do blending mode and overlay, and let's just play this again. Yeah, see, that looks a lot better like that. All right, so let me zoom out good so we can see the whole thing. We'll play what we have. Be patient with me, because I'm just letting it play to see and analyze and think about anything. Okay, that's good. Okay, and again, we'll live with it, and so we'll move forward here. And so what we're going to be doing next is let's play around, because right now everything looks like daylight. So we're going to turn this scene and just adjust the color. So we're going to make an adjustment layer here. We're going to go to a layer, new adjustment layer. Okay, and we're going to use a color correction, and we're going to use this Lumetri color. Okay, and we got to go into the creative here, and we'll switch this to we're looking for it here. I know where it's at, or I know what it's called here. See, there's all kinds of color we could try. Oh, here it is. SL Matrix Blue. And the reason I'm using that is because of one of the tutorials that it comes with After Effects. I'm putting up the faded film a little bit. We're going to take down the saturation. So that looks better like that. Okay? And you could even play with curves on this. You know, I haven't played with that yet, but you know, if that's something you want to play around with, you can. Because the more you play around with this stuff, the better. But let's see what this looks like with that color correction there. Because it looks a lot more gloomier as far as the sky now. Okay. And believe it or not, I was going to try to take one of those guys out, and I was going about doing it. I said, you know what, it's not really necessary, and plus he's sort of looking over, like he's obviously was looking at her, or the guy filming her, or the woman filming her. And I'm looking all over the place right now. So that really helped that a lot. I'm going to zoom out here, and let's see if anything else we want to do here. We can take the intensity down a little bit. Okay. And under basic correction, temperature. Yeah, temperature. We can make it cooler. Because I didn't do that in the other one. But there's all kinds of things you can do to adjust the color here. And I really think that really helps. Let's watch it one more time, and then we're going to add the rain. We're getting close here. Those puddles really help. The extra blood helps there. Okay, so now let's add rain. So we're going to add another adjustment layer here. And we're going to go to new adjustment layer. And then we're going to add simulate rainfall. And this is so cool. Because watch this. It's raining now. Oh, that's so cool. You know, we can make it even snow if you saw that. There's all kinds of effects in here. You just got to play with. You know, there's different ones. We're going to use drizzle, but you'll see it's not exactly what you expect it to be. But we're going to actually make use out of that. But you can play around with this stuff. Now, let's see how much. I don't want it to be raining so hard that it feels like a total downpour, okay? So let's come up to here, and we'll play around with the speed. And we're going to cut that speed down by half. And let's look at this now. That's better. That's much better. Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's coming down so fast. Now, and if we want to, we could just do a little bit more. We don't want to make it too slow. There we go. That looks nice. Now, the other thing we can do, too, is we can play with the wind. It will give it a direction. So if we tilt it, it'll be coming down at an angle like that. Okay. I don't think I wanted it that much, but you can always play around with it. There's so much to play around with this. It's so cool, you know? So let's zoom in here and take a peek. And most of this stuff is really working. Let's see, we got scene depth. I'll up that a little bit. And that looks nice. I like that. because it really just changes it a lot, you know. Let's see. One thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually add a blur to these, because when we get to here, and I just want you to learn about this. That's why I'm putting this in here. So I'm going to add a Gaussian blur on this. U-S. Yeah, there it is. So I'm over here in my effects panel, and I start typing in Gaussian, and now we can drag this into here, and we could just add a bit of a blur to our rain, because they're straight lines. Okay. And let's play that. And we'll zoom out. Maybe we don't want that strong of a blur. Let's take it down a little bit. But this will really help in some cases if you're playing around with the rain. Okay, so now let's play with drizzle. How we're going to do that is, on top of this layer, we're going to make a new layer. And you know what, the other thing too is we could put, and we could just say, let's rename these layers here. Let's rename this one to color adjust, at least so that we know what that is. And we'll name this one rain. Okay. I want to see what happens when we put the color adjustment on top of the rain. See, I don't know. I kind of like the rain on top of it, because it's a little bit more visible, and it's not, I don't think, too distracting. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is we're going to make a new layer for drizzle, and we're going to do a new solid. And here's the deal. In order to do this, you want it to be set to 50% gray, and the way we get this is by typing in here, and we go into each one of these, the RGB, 127 for red, 127 for green, 127 for blue, okay? Click OK. Click OK. It makes a new layer there. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go to Effect, Simulate Drizzle. And drizzle does this. You know? Now, what we're going to do is we're going to put it in 3D in just a moment, okay? And the other thing I did here, I think, if we go back, I'm going to go back here before I put all that on. Let's go new layer again. New solid. And one of the things was I made my layer a little larger so that, you know, we're going to shrink it down and distort it. And so it was already set for this. Because remember, our thing is, I think it's a different, well, if we look at our composition here, composition setting, it'll tell us here, we're 1280 by 720. That's what I thought. So anyway, we put that on there. Then we put the rain back on. Again, I just wanted to explain this to you because it's set up from what I last used. And, simulation, drizzle, sorry about that. See, they even have bubbles you can play around with. I haven't done, there's a lot more things I want to play around with. And so we just need a hint of this in the foreground. And we're going to do less ripples. Okay. Longevity has to do with how big they are, like that. Drip rate, we could add a few more in there, like that. Spreading, I'm just playing around here. Maybe the spreading we don't want so much of. And we're going to play a little around a few more things, but before we go on too far, let's do a couple of things here. We're going to do 3D, okay? So we're going to make this go back like this, which is going to be helpful. Let's zoom out here. And see, that's why I like working with my mouse. I can use my scroll wheel to quickly adjust that. All right. Put this here, and then I'm going to scale this down. And as I said, we don't need to see a lot of it all up and down. We just need to see it in the foreground a little bit. So that's what I'm trying to do here. Let's rotate this just a little bit here. Okay. And now let's set the blending mode. I think this was supposed to be set to overlay. Overlay seems to be the key. Although I think I want to try, instead of overlay, I want to try soft light. I think that was the last one I used for this. And mind you, we're right where all that's at, and it's a little... Now let's zoom in here so we can see. So they're a little too pronounced. They're a little too big. It looks like we could still play around with the distortion in 3D and where they're located. Undo that, Control Z. And I'm just playing around here, try to get this better. And play it some more. All right, they're popping up. That's good. All right, let's do this again. I think that might be a little too much. Okay, so what I need to do is, we could probably play around with opacity, but I'm just looking at them. And one thing that really kind of helps is the lighting. And I'm going to change the light direction here on these just a little bit, so the light kind of goes that way. Okay. The intensity of the light will bring down, because we don't need to notice them much. Okay. So the intensity... And see, with her walking and everything, it starts to feel more like rain. And I'm still not crazy about everything, but what I'm going to do is bring down light intensity more. So it's just barely noticeable. All right, so let's zoom out here a little bit. Let's move up so we can see the bottom of the picture. And just let this play all the way through. And I'm looking, and it's not bad. Again, my catchphrase for my tutorials is I can live with it. And that does a lot to our little movie here, okay? I think this may end our tutorial. I'm going to look through and see if there's anything else I need to do, because I do have another version of this. Okay, we'll stop that there. And we'll save this. Okay, I don't think I saved as. Usually I do. It should have saved this early on. And I was doing that all the way up until I started my demo. So we'll save this, and we got our raining demo. And you could call this anything. I call it lightning and rain. And you'd want to put your name on it. So it could be, your name and rain or whatever. That's important to save that because if anything was to happen or to crash. And let's take a look at the last one I had done here. Open recent. So that's lightning and rain from the demo folder. This is rain experiment raining 2. I'm going to see if there's anything I missed here. The puddles look different. The rain looks a little different. You don't notice the drips as much, but they are there. They're very subtle. They're very, very subtle, but they work very well. I like how dark things are in the puddles. So I'm wondering, let me see, did I do something different with those puddles? Did I set it on something else? Let's see here. Blending mode is normal, it says. We got all these masks on it. Opacity's at 73. Maybe that's it. So let's go back here. Open recent project. I'm looking for lightning and rain from the demo folder. That's the one I had up there. Okay, so let's go to my puddles and see. That's the thing about setting all these stuff up is in After Effects, you can only have one project open at a time. So, it's hard to find how you have things set up. So let's go to blending mode. We'll set that to normal. Now that may look better. And then we'll do T and we'll bring the transparency's already down. Now let's play this. Yeah, I kind of like them darker like that. Of course, we've got that one area where the reflection, the sky's not lined up with the branches well. Where we get that white there, but it's okay. But I do like these being darker in the back there. They feel more like real puddles. So I just wanted to show that because it's so important to try to get this to look as good as possible. And the thing is, when you're watching the movie, you might your eyes are on her, and then it goes to the splotches. And it still kills me because I'd still like to do a better job with her being disintegrated. But it's just time constraints and also, how much I know versus the professionals that do the other tutorials. But this should give you a good sense of where we need to go with this. Okay, and this teaches you a lot. This teaches you how to composite an image in there, and that was bringing in those storm clouds. It teaches you about how to make puddles, by doing that. It teaches you about using the rain, okay, and the color corrections, and it's kind of interesting because you could use this stuff and you can make all kinds of cool movies. Now, one thing I'll show you before I cut this off, and let me go into and see if I can find the project here. We'll save it. Okay, let me go and look at the desktop and see if I have this project up here. And I may not have it in here. I'm not seeing it. Let me go into my flash drive here. Running Woman. Okay. We'll open this one up. Now, I was going to show you how to do this one, but really it's very simple. This has all the same components as the other one, just less. But we're not killing somebody, okay? So I had to mask this woman out who was in the frame. And we'll play it a couple of times here because it's got to render here. So I found this stock footage, and I'm going to list some sites that you can get some stock footage off of for your project. I really like this one. This is kind of cool, you know, because I've seen this effect like in science fiction series. I'm thinking of there's one that was made back, I don't know, about 10, 12 years ago, maybe even longer. It's called Fringe. You can find it on Freevee. And they're always doing stuff like that, okay? So anyway, I just wanted to show you that because, you know, with what I taught you, you can use that. There's other things you can learn how to do too. And I don't know if I have my Video Copilot open here. Yeah, I do. But I was learning how to, if I could find it. Bear with me, and then I'll be off here. And if you want to end the tutorial for yourself, you can, but I just thought I would show you something else to get you thinking about your project. And there's one in here that I was going to do, and I've got some stock footage to do it, and it wouldn't be too difficult. And I apologize for taking longer. Dynamic machine gun, Metro City. This one, city destruction. So this one, it shows about how to map out, and it's so easy to do. It's using that 3D, and I may make a tutorial to show how to do it because you know he makes it look so easy, and it is easy, but you have to remember all the steps. And so I'm thinking of doing that and having that as a tutorial for the project in case anybody wants to do a city destruction scene, okay? You can take a look at this. It's on Video Copilot, okay? So anyway, that's will end our tutorial.